This is DJI's latest wireless microphone, DJI Mic Mini. A small and lightweight microphone with the same great audio experience as their other options, the DJI Mic 1 and 2. It's a microphone with a stable connection of up to 400 meters, even if you turn your back to it.
So all the way down here you should be able to hear me loud and clear.
So no problem going far away and having great vocal clarity the entire time. It has 2 levels of noise cancellation, which is great for different scenarios.
The basic level that you're listening to right now is intended to be used in quiet indoor settings, like this. While the strong level is supposed to be best for noisy environments, like this one.
It is highlighted by a yellow color. In my opinion, the strong setting cuts out too much of the vocal clarity and just makes you sound a little bit muddy, which isn't something I like that much. So when I'm outside and it's relatively windy, I just simply keep it in basic mode and put on a windscreen instead, and that makes the best sounding audio in most scenarios. Switching between the different modes are something that's done through either the DJI Mimo app, a connected device like the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro, or by pressing down the power button quickly. There isn't a screen interface available on the receiver like there is on the DJI Mic 2 offering, so these are the only ways you can change the noise cancellation. So keep that in mind. But simply pressing the power button is also the easiest way anyway, so it kinda doesn't matter.
Being rather loud or screaming in the microphone can easily happen if you're anything like me. But with these microphones, this isn't a problem at all, since they've got automatic limiting, which prevents audio clipping. It seems to work rather well, since all the audio in my editing software doesn't clip at all.
This was a pretty important feature these microphones needed to have, for the simple reason that they don't have 32-bit float internal audio recording, like the 2nd generation DJI mics. Since the whole purpose with these microphones also are that they should be easy to use, this is an essential feature because most people that buy these microphones aren't gonna look through all the settings and set them up the intended or the right way. If you further need to adjust your audio, then you also have the ability to control the master volume through the dial on the receiver. You can go all the way from minus 12 decibels to plus 12 decibels, but it isn't possible to fine-tune the decibel amount in between, since there's only steps on every shown number. Just like with the previous versions that DJI has put out, you can also record in both mono and stereo with these microphones. This is a great feature to have available, since recording in mono separates the tracks into different audio sources, which makes it super easy to tweak different audio levels if you have more than a single person with a mic on. You also get a safety track feature that can be enabled in the DJI Mimo app. It records 6 decibel lower than the other track. This can be quite useful if you don't have full control over the audio at all times, or if a loud car, as an example, starts to fire up its engine, because that can easily clip the audio. These microphones have one area where they massively excel compared to any other wireless microphone on the market, which is battery life. Because with the DJI Mic Mini, you get 48 hours of battery life in total. The transmitters have a battery life of 11.5 hours each, and the receiver have 10.5 hours. If you get the pack with the charging case, you can also expect around 3.6 times of full charges, which is just outrageous. So just putting them in your bag every time you go out to record something is definitely what I'm gonna do, because with that amount of power, it'll take me like half a year to completely drain, which is just amazing. Let's also say that you forgot to charge them before a shoot for a client. That also kinda doesn't matter that much, because with just 5 minutes of charging in the case, you'll have approximately 1 hour of recording time for both the receiver and the transmitter, which is also just outrageous. The DJI Mic Mini does come with an auto power off feature that turns the receiver off after not receiving a signal from a transmitter for 15 minutes. When you turn off the receiver, the transmitter will also turn off, because it automatically turns off when it doesn't have a signal. DJI Mic 2 got a feature that made it possible to turn the receiver off automatically when connected to a camera through the TRS port. I really liked that feature since it made it that you didn't have to both turn off the receiver when you also turned off your camera. It simply did that anyway. If you got a DJI Osmo product like this DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro action camera that I have hanging right there, you can also connect the mics directly without the need for the receiver, which is really nice. This is also my preferred way of using the microphones since the Osmo Action 5 Pro delivers great 10-bit video image quality and is easy to have in a pocket or mounted with an accessory somewhere. Connecting the microphones to something like the Osmo Action 5 Pro is also super simple since you just drag down from the top of the screen to reveal the settings menu. Then you choose the bolt and press wireless mic. Now you just need to hold down the link button on the microphone until it starts blinking blue. And then the microphone should appear on your Osmo product where you are now connected. Super simple. If you want to connect the mic to your smartphone, computer or tablet, you have a few different methods to do so. The first one is by connecting a 3.5mm TRS cable to the receiver and your device of choice. You can also connect the receiver directly to a USB-C port with the small adapter that you get in the charging case. My personal favorite way is, however, this one, which is by connecting the transmitter directly to either the phone or laptop through Bluetooth. This means that you basically can run around with one of the small transmitters in your pocket all the time, and then you'll always just be able to get great sounding audio everywhere. One thing to note is that if you own an iPhone like me, you can't use the built-in camera app since it doesn't allow you to choose any other microphone than the one built into the device. So if you want to use the microphone through Bluetooth on your phone, you have to download something like the Blackmagic camera app, which for some people is a deal breaker. But if you do download the app, let me just quickly show you how to set up the microphone. First, put it in link mode by holding down the link button on the transmitter. On your iPhone, go to settings and choose Bluetooth. It should appear at the bottom. Choose it and close the app. Now go to the Blackmagic camera app, choose settings, then audio and audio source. Now choose the DJI Mic Mini. It's that simple. One thing you also can do is to connect it to the DJI Fly app and record audio while flying with the DJI Neo. If you own one of these kind of drones, which I do. This is gonna be a great way to talk to your audience on Instagram stories and stuff like that. Yeah, it can actually even drown out the propeller noise with the noise reduction feature, if you want to, which is really nice. So great way to use them and also one of my favorite ways to use them. The major differences and reasons for why I would choose the DJI Mic Mini over the first or second generation DJI mic is simply because of the massive battery life improvement. This is a big deal for me because I rarely use the wireless microphones, so for most scenarios I use a shotgun microphone since they are better at capturing everything that happens around you. Whereas these wireless microphones usually are more useful when talking directly to the camera, especially from a distance, which is something that I don't do that often. So having to not charge them that often and just can easily put them away is a big deal to me. Another thing that makes these microphones more desirable for me is the small form factor and the subtle branding, like the first generation mic, since it's way easier to hide the microphones on clothes if the clothing is black or white. You probably wouldn't even notice a microphone on the clothes at all if it were black or if you got the white one. Yeah, not even outside, since you can just put on the black windscreen. So this is really nice. And it's also one of the big issues I had with the DJI Mic 2s, since they were a lot more noticeable than the DJI Mic 1. So I'm very happy that they went back to the old design. Since they are so lightweight, you don't have to think too much about whether or not the magnet is gonna fall off, even though it's much smaller than the one provided by the DJI Mic 1 and 2. So yes, it's not as strong, but it's really not needed. They don't have internal recording, which might be a big deal breaker for a lot of people, since that essentially means that if you for some reason gets corrupted audio, or if you go further away than 400 meters, you'll have no way of recovering that audio. It's just gone. So I would have really wished they had gotten internal recording. In the combo pack you'll get a charging case, 2 transmitters, 1 receiver, a 3.5mm TRS audio cable, a USB-A to USB-C cable, 2 pairs of windscreens, 1 in black and 1 in grey, and then you'll also get a USB-C adapter for the receiver, no lightning connector this time around, it's sold separately, which I kinda understand, even though I don't like it since I still have a 14 Pro Max. You also have a few different packs to choose from, and if you want, you can also get a microphone in white, just like with the DJI Mic 2s. All of the prices at which they are sold at is, in my opinion, quite great for the exceptional value that you get from these small microphones. So if you're still considering to get the first generation DJI mic, I'll just say that the only reason for getting them would be for the internal recording. If you can live without that feature, the DJI Mic Minis are definitely the way to go. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. That was all. If you have any further questions about the DJI Mic Minis, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments below. I'll, as always, highly appreciate it if you left a like and a subscribe to the channel. And that's pretty much all for this review. See you in the next one. I'm out.